I'm Dr. Tony DeLorenzo, and I'm here to discuss some topics for a healthy living webinar to get us ready for spring. Today I'm going to be talking about heart health, not just for lipids, also some nutrition hacks to help us attain or maintain our ideal body weight, early cancer detection, some new material to help us detect cancer when it's in stage 1 or stage 2. Yes, you heard me right, and we'll go into that in detail. Also, we're going to talk about a 3-step daily routine to prep for spring activities, and I'm going to go over some new concepts on the role of mental health in healing. So let's get started. Also, I wanted to review with you guys some housekeeping tips. First, a reminder about urgent care and other treatment options. Because you're a member of this practice, I want you to know that if you're thinking about having to go to an urgent care, unless you have a cut or you're pretty sure you have a broken bone, I think that there are a lot of problems that you should give me a call and discuss those problems without going to urgent care. By having me available, you get the opportunity to talk to someone who knows you and who can send you for tests or meet you at the office to do an evaluation, rather than going to a place where they don't know you, where unnecessary tests or a wrong diagnosis can be made just because of lack of information. So feel free to call me before going to urgent care. And if you need to go to urgent care, certainly do it, or to the hospital, obviously, if it's an emergency. But I want to have people lower the threshold for when they come and call me in that situation. Okay. Also, I just got back from the American Academy of Medical Acupuncture Symposium. It's an annual meeting of the members of the American Academy of Medical Acupuncture, of which I am one for the last 35 years. In that time, I have been using acupuncture almost every day in my practice. A lot of patients don't know that, but acupuncture can be used for a lot of different diagnoses, not just for pain, but it can be used for anxiety and sinus infections and dermatologic problems, for headaches. So if you are thinking, well, what else can we do about this problem? I've already taken over-the-counter medications. I'm about to call the doctor for some advice. Well, maybe I need to have you come in and get an acupuncture treatment. So just give a call to the office if you think that the acupuncture might be appropriate, or to ask if the acupuncture might be appropriate, and we will get you in as soon as possible. As you know, I do not charge for acupuncture. I just want to incorporate it and make this skill set that I have available to you in time of need. So I hope to be talking to you about that soon. Okay, heart health. Food choices end up being the number one issue in regard to heart health. And the second most important issue is regular exercise. So activity and nutrition affect our heart, and I can't get any more simpler or more basic than that. And we don't need to do anything more complicated than to make some proper food choices and be active every day. And we're going to talk about that in some detail. Also, breathing properly and breathing exercises that we use regularly can be very helpful for people to attain optimal health, but also it is helpful to the heart and the heart's function. Sleep. I've read a big textbook on sleep this year. Dr. Walker's book on sleep has really opened my eyes to the problems that we face in our modern times with bright lights and computer screens, and how when we're using those devices at bedtime, it really interferes with our sleep. Also, the stress of our workday and not allowing time to wind down at the end of the day will keep us from sleeping well. And in addition, eating too late, going to bed with a full stomach, of course, that's going to interfere with our sleep. And not being active enough during the day leaves us with too much unspent neurochemicals in our system to help us sleep properly. So we'll talk about how to improve our sleep habits. And then if we have not talked about family history, if you have a family history where your parents had heart attacks, or brothers and sisters have had heart attacks or stents, or they've had bypass surgery, or arrhythmias, meaning AFib or A-flutter, then that's something we should talk about. Usually we gather that information, but next time you come in, let's make sure we review any family history of cardiac disease. If you think about it and you want me to update any records, you're welcome to call the office to give me new information too. And then smoking history. If anybody is still smoking, I have some ideas to help you quit. So it's never too late to quit, so we're going to talk about that. And patients who have diabetes and rheumatoid arthritis or other immunologic disorders are at increased risk for heart disease. And I want to make that connection so that we're extra aggressive in managing people's heart disease risks if they have those concurrent illnesses. And then, of course, we'll talk a little bit about lipids. Heart health, nutrition, and nutrition hacks. When I'm talking about heart health and nutrition, I am talking about a plant-heavy diet. We've talked in the media, we hear about vegetarian diet. Do I need to be a vegan? There's all kinds of negative stereotypes about people who are so opposed to eating animal meat. And I'll tell you, I've been a vegetarian and I've tried to be a vegan over the years. It is challenging to be in optimal health and eat only vegetables because you really have to be on your game as far as managing your diet. So it's easier for all of us. And what we're really trying to do is give out advice that can be followed. And so that's why I'm saying I want people to have a plant-heavy diet. We also need to have adequate protein, avoid sugary and salty snack foods, which have become a part of everyday life. It wasn't always that way, and we are suffering negative consequences by making those foods part of everyday life. And worrying too much about the small stuff and ignoring the big stuff. And that's why I don't want people to overcomplicate their nutrition. And understanding that nutrition is a long game. And every once in a while, if we slip, it doesn't mean that we have failed. It means that with every meal, with every snack, or with every choice not to have that next snack, we have an opportunity to do better. And we often will have better results if we set goals. So if my goal, right now I'm training for a marathon, if my goal is to get 90 grams of protein every day, having that awareness will help me think at the end of the day, do I need to drink a protein shake tonight? Did I get all 90 grams? Or am I horribly deficient today and I maybe need to pick up the slack tomorrow, or at least not fall too far below my goal? Also, my goal might be, okay, this month I am going to fast 2 days and mark it on the calendar. These are the days I'm going to fast. So you get better results if you set goals. So what does it mean to be eating a plant-heavy diet? First, I'd like to say that a plant-heavy diet includes a minimum of 2 to 3 cups of vegetables every day. So a cup of vegetables, two handfuls, 2 to 3 of those. Now, that is the minimum. I would love to see people having 5 servings of vegetables a day. That would be ideal. But as a minimum, we need 2 to 3 cups of vegetables every day. And when I say mix it up, I mean look at that picture and see all the variety that are vegetables that are available to us and pick and choose. Go to Pete's with open eyes and say, oh, look at the size of this beautiful produce department. Let's see what I can find in here today and incorporate into my diet. Now, the puzzle of adequate protein. People ask me questions about protein all the time. And there are years of research that have shown that most people, especially people over the age of 65, do not get enough protein to maintain muscle mass. As we age, we actually start to develop a problem that is a consequence of aging called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the loss of muscle mass. Part of it is due to an increased sedentary lifestyle, and some of it is due to cellular senescence that occurs anyway. So we need to be fighting against muscle loss, and one of the things that we can do is make sure we get an adequate amount of protein. So protein servings, like carbohydrates and fats, are measured in grams. And most people require somewhere between 60 and 120 grams of protein per day. And it's a very easy equation to figure out how much you need. And you just take your weight in pounds and divide by 2. So that is your goal for the day. So if I'm weighing 160 pounds, which I should be a little less than that, but I probably am at 160, then that means I need 80 grams of protein a day. And that is everyday requirement. Well, I have looked at my diet over periods of time and realized that many days I will not even get anywhere near that. I might have skipped breakfast. I might have skipped lunch. I may have had nothing but 2 salads all day with no protein shakes and no chicken in it. So getting enough protein every day will help us not lose muscle. And if we're trying to gain muscle, it'll help us achieve that too. So take your body weight and divide by 2, and that's how many grams of protein you need. Now, athletes who are in training, people who are really working their muscles, trying to build more muscle, then they will need maybe 1.2 to 1.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, or your weight divided by 2. So body weight in pounds divided by 2. So you can get the protein you need with plant-based sources. So soybeans like tofu and soy milk, quinoa, chickpeas, lentils, nuts, seeds, beans, seitan. All of these plant-based products have protein in them, and they can be used to get us to our daily requirement. And don't forget that we can get protein powders. A heaping scoop of protein powder will give us somewhere between 25 and 30 grams of protein. And I'll point out some of my favorites here. So just as a reminder, 6 ounces of tofu, about the size of your hand and about this thick, about the size of a pork chop, that would be 20 grams of protein. Seitan, which is another plant-based source, can give 40 grams in 6 ounces. A cup of legumes is 15 grams. 3 ounces of nuts, 20 grams. 3 ounces of seeds, 15 grams. So you can see that adequate intake per day can be achieved using protein sources. But you have to use a variety, and you have to kind of keep track. How am I going to get to 90 grams or 80 grams for me every day? Now, the protein products that I like for protein powder is the Orgain organic protein. It comes in vanilla and chocolate and sometimes strawberry. I think it's a very excellent product. 2 scoops of that will give you 20 grams of protein. Then this year, I decided that the evidence supporting the use of collagen for an old guy like me is sufficient that I will start adding a collagen product. So that Vital Proteins collagen has 20 grams of protein in 1 scoop. So in order to not make my drink too chalky, I use 1 scoop of the Vital Proteins collagen product, and I use 1 scoop of the Orgain organic protein, and between the 2 of those, I get 30 grams of protein in 1 drink in a shaker, adding only water, and it tastes fine. And I'm getting a meal's worth of protein. So that's my current recommendation. In the middle there, I show you a collagen product from Orthomolecular. We have also ordered this product because they actually did studies and showed that they can get some cartilage improvement by adding this collagen product every day, 1 small scoop. It's a much smaller scoop than what's needed in the Vital Proteins product. So either one I think is excellent. So if we're going to use animal-based protein sources, just know that 6 ounces of meat or fish is about 30 grams of protein. 3 eggs is around 20 grams of protein. And if you're going to eat eggs regularly, then sometimes I think you should use egg white products instead of using whole eggs. But remember, it's not cholesterol I'm worried about. It is it's not your total cholesterol that I'm worried about, like the cholesterol in eggs. People can eat eggs. It's just that if we're taking in too much animal fat, saturated fats like in beef and pork, and unhealthy oils like in fried foods, then that is going to affect our overall lipid panel negatively. So the meat should be lean, and eggs can be used regularly to help us get to our protein goal for the day. I also want to point out that there is a red meat warning. And what is red meat? Beef, veal, pork, lamb, bison, goat, all of these animal muscle products have been shown to be inflammatory to our vascular system. But processed meats that are salted, cured, fermented, smoked, they have been linked to colon cancer. So the World Health Organization has a warning especially for things like hot dogs and ham and sausages and corned beef and jerky, which I love, that these things are linked to colon cancer and should not be a part of everyday meals. It's something that you could have once in a while, but once in a while would not be every week, and more like every month or two. So 50-gram portion of processed meat eaten daily increases the risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. So 100 grams of red meat eaten daily increases the risk of colon cancer by 17%. So just be aware of this warning and act accordingly. The other thing about food choices, as I mentioned earlier, is to avoid having candy every day, making sure that we have some chips. Chips don't need to be in our lunch every day. That has become a part, because of marketing, excellent marketing by the food industry, that has become that snacks have become a part of our way of life. And the food industry wins and our health loses. So by eating salads and meat and getting a little more high quality food in our bodies at perhaps a little bit higher cost, and staying away from those snack foods will keep us from paying money to pharmaceutical companies to reverse the effects of having too much snack food. So it should be a real treat, something that is once in a while and not every day. When I say that I don't want to overcomplicate it, I am saying that if we just look for good sources of meat, by that I mean grass-fed, organic, it makes a difference over time. But if we're imperfect about it, then don't think that we failed and then let it all go to hell. So I'm just saying it is a fine option. If you go to a baseball game and you only go to one or two a year, you can have a hot dog at a baseball game. If you go to a party and people are serving pizza, you can have some pizza. But we shouldn't be planning on having pizza every day or having processed meats every day or even once a week. So being too puritanical about anything makes it much more difficult to be consistent over the long haul. And because this is a long game, we need to be gentle with ourselves when it comes to making these food decisions. And once again, it's better to set some goals. Like, I'm going to order salads. When I go to the store, I'm going to buy clean sources of meat. I'm going to try to fit in more of these vegetable sources of protein, and I'm going to have a more regular intake of healthy foods. Oh, and I'm probably going to set a goal to fast maybe 1 or 2 times a month. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we're going to talk about regular exercise. Regular exercise, and I'm going to do some demonstration behind me here in a second. We're going to talk about flexibility, strengthening, and endurance. the three components of fitness that we need to do incorporate into everyday life so that we stay strong and operate our body at the highest level possible. The breathing exercise I want to talk about is simple as this. I breathe in to a 4 count. I hold for a 6 count. And I breathe out to a 7 count. In. Hold. Out. If we did that exercise of breathing in for 4, hold for 6, out for 7, do a session of 5 to 10 of those breaths a couple of times a day, we improve heart health by improving heart rate variability. Take time every day to do that simple exercise, and we'll see that not only does it help decrease our stress hormones by decreasing adrenaline and cortisol, it helps with heart rate variability, which has been shown to improve lifespan. That's breathing. And I have two links here to some excellent videos that explain heart rate variability and these breathing exercises. But the exercise itself is no more complicated than what I just demonstrated. Okay. Once again, sleep, the concept of sleep, the fact that every single species in the world requires sleep. We have to turn our brains off every day for a certain amount of time. And in humans, that amount of time is 7 to 8 hours. We want our sleep time, the time we go to bed, and our wake time to be about the same within an hour every day. So the sleep time between 9 and 10, the wake time between 7 and 8. We want that to be consistent, and we need to have a relaxing bedtime routine. Millions and millions of people, mainly in Western civilization, take medicines because they don't sleep well. And it is just a fact that none of the sleep aids are very effective over the long haul. And they all have side effects, and being off of sleep medicines is the way we should be. That it is not normal to be on sleep medicine for our whole lives. So having a routine that we are prone to follow a routine for sleep. We have a diurnal mechanism within our bodies that helps us feel tired when we're ready to go to sleep. And we need to honor that when it comes. So having a relaxing bedtime and avoiding blue light stimulation for at least an hour before bed. So that means dimming the lights, getting off your screen, maybe changing to a book and some, other than high fluorescent light, and having maybe a candle lit, making the room cool, because we do sleep better in a cool, dry environment, and having proper clothes so that our bodies can cool off and sleep properly. So having those habits will help us achieve sleep without the need for medication. Also, having exercised during the day increases our chances of having a good night's sleep. Now, people can have sleep disordered breathing, like sleep apnea, and that if your spouse or your significant other is noticing that you stop breathing in your sleep, well, then it's time to talk to your doctor about that. If you wake up every morning and you do not feel refreshed, despite having taken those precautions to go to bed at the right time, to prepare yourself for sleep, and to wake up at the same time, and you're waking up tired every day, well, you might have sleep apnea, and we need to have a conversation about that. So there are ways to test for that, and there are treatments that we can provide that can make a big difference if that's the problem. So feel free to talk to me about that anytime. If you have a family history of heart disease, meaning that a family member had a heart attack, had congestive heart failure, or an arrhythmia, and you and I have not talked about it in detail, or if, say, you have a sibling who all of a sudden had a stent placed, that may change your risk of heart disease as the way we look at it globally. And I think we should have a conversation about that because it might require more intensive monitoring for you. Smoking, it's never too late to stop. The alternatives that we have for smoking are medications like Wellbutrin or Chantix. Acupuncture can be very helpful for the addiction of smoking, and I've had good results with that, and I would provide that treatment to you at no cost for the acupuncture. So it's never too late to quit smoking, and I'd love to help you quit. So if that's still a problem for you, give a call and we'll get you in and take care of it. As I talked about before, the people who have diabetes or a autoimmune disorder like rheumatoid arthritis, they should be under increased intensive monitoring for heart disease. And if you haven't felt my sense of urgency regarding those two concurrent illnesses, then let's talk about that more at our next appointment. Lipids. There are many, many studies that have proven that lowering lipids has reduced a person's risk for stroke and heart attack. And I have a lot of patients in the practice who are resistant to the use of statins, and statins are medications that block the production of LDL. LDL is the particle that gets lodged in the wall of the artery because they're in too many particles and increase the inflammation that is caused in the wall of the artery, and then causes the narrowing and solidifying of our arterioles. And if by lowering lipids, there has been a huge decrease in the number of strokes and heart attacks, and we have ways of knowing who the people are who need treatment. And if you're one of those people, I want to work with you to achieve optimal lipid levels. So as you know, I'm going to be on that. Also understand that there are medicines other than statins for people who've had bad experience with statins. There are at least 2 new classes that we should have a discussion about because they are amazingly effective and have none of the statin-associated side effects. So we should have a conversation about that in the future if this has been a problem for you. So those are the topics we just went over: food choices, the implementation of regular exercise, breathing exercises, the importance of sleep to heart health, family history, and us working together to understand your risks regarding your family history, making sure smoking is not a part of your life, firsthand or secondhand, to make the connection between rheumatologic problems and diabetes and heart disease, and then ideal lipid levels to decrease risk. Okay, a couple more things about nutrition hacks. We just went over getting enough protein. Take your weight divided by 2. Now, scheduling 2 days a month for fasting is an idea that has come about. In this past year, there were at least 4 books by renowned people. David Sinclair from Harvard, who has a lab that shows that by feeding yeast cells less, they live longer. Feed mice less, they live longer. Humans that fast regularly live longer. There are parts of the world where fasting is an integral part of the society, and the people in those societies regularly lived into their 90s and 100s while they're still functional and being a part of society. So fasting can be a benefit to us all. And I think that if we are aware of that and try to incorporate it even a small amount, 1 day a month, 2 days a month, that it can be beneficial. Here are 8 benefits of fasting. It lowers blood sugar. It decreases inflammation in our arteries. It contributes to heart health because if we weigh less, our heart is strained less. If we fast, we may require fewer blood pressure medicines. And if our heart is beating against less pressure, it works better. It helps with brain function. The current it is well known that our brains actually work better in a ketosis, a ketotic state, where we've burned all our carb calories and now our body starts burning beta hydroxybutyrate, which is a fat metabolism. So when we start burning fat as our primary fuel, our brains actually work better. It also can result in some weight loss. It lowers the secretion of growth hormone, and although we need growth hormone when we're growing, growth hormone in excess as adults is inflammatory to our bodies. So there's a longevity connection to fasting, and it is well known that people who are obese are at increased risk of developing cancer, and that people who have cancer, who are trying to starve the cancer by eating less, especially less sugar and processed food, can succeed in doing that. The fasting mimicking diet is another way to achieve the goals of fasting without having to go without all of our food. So the fasting mimicking diet was presented by Dr. Walter Longo. He is the head of anti-aging nutrition at USC. And in his department, they have done some extensive experiments about using low-calorie days in substitution for no-calorie days. And the diet that they came up with is equivalent to what I have here on the page, where you have a nut bar for breakfast, that's 200 calories. Get a healthy sourced one like that Kirkland bar. You get a can of soup, that's about 200 calories, and about 10 Mary's Gone crackers, super seed crackers, and that is your lunch and your dinner, and maybe midday have a handful of carrots, and then during the day you drink plenty of water and green tea. That day is about 800 calories, while most of us every day are eating somewhere between 1,800 and 2,500 calories, when we really only need 1,500 anyway. So by getting an 800 calorie day in, that is fasting mimicking, especially when we're choosing this composition of foods, where it is a soup and crackers, 2 of the meals, and a bar, and maybe a handful of baby carrots or green olives as a midday snack. This is the essence. Now, the guy wrote a whole book about the science behind this, and there is a diet that they have developed that they'll send you, the Prolon diet, in a box that says day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and you want to string this together for 5 days in a row. And people can do that, and I think it is a healthy thing to do. But what I'm recommending is taking this idea and trying to incorporate a day of fasting mimicking 2 days a month. It's something that we can all do. We can wrap our heads around it, and it's not any more complicated than this. The next most important thing is to have healthy foods on hand. Now, you'll see behind me here that there's a picture of a refrigerator that has all kinds of delicious foods prepared. Like there's some grapes in a bowl, there's salad already cut, there's peppers ready to go, there's prepared carrots. So if we have these foods available to us, we are much more likely to eat them. So that's one way to prepare the refrigerator. Another is to have, now that we have Blue Apron and we have Hello Fresh, these are meals that have been designed to be healthy, the correct number of calories, and easy to prepare. We have busy lifestyles. We have a first world problem of having money on hand to let other people do our food preparation for us. And this is a way to organize our refrigerators so that when we reach in there, we're going to get some foods that aren't harming us. They're actually foods that are helping us. And then we can apply the same concept of being able to open the pantry and have healthy foods in there, not just chips we and candies. If we have nutritious foods available to us in our pantries and our refrigerators, we're more likely to do the right thing. For ideas related to meal planning, the MDVIP Connect website, which is part of your membership, is a treasure trove of diet plans and meal plans and shopping lists, the whole section that all you have to do is log into the website. And I would do it on a computer rather than on the phone because you get so much better images and you can read the pages more easily. But when you log in, you can have access to an amazing library of nutrition options. If you are having a hard time accessing that, you can call our office or MDVIP to get additional information. If I need to send you a link, we'll send it to you. So let us know. I spoke a little bit about processed meats, but I also want to talk about the fact that the European Union and Great Britain have banned stabilizers and preservatives that are in breaded foods and other fast foods that have not been banned in the United States. And the reason that they have been banned is because of a possible link to cancer. Well, here in the US, where we have very high rates of cancer, there is a standard loophole that lets chemicals banned in other places be used here because we say that it needs to be a probable link to cancer. And proving something is linked to cancer is very difficult. But the burden of proof is on us and not on the company using the chemicals. So it sounds to me like it's very similar to the debate we had in the 60s about the risk of cancer associated with smoking. It was difficult to link cancer directly to smoking, but it has been done, and a lot of lives were lost while we were talking about it. So I just want you to be aware that there are many foods that are linked to cancer in these because of these preservatives. So I have two links here, and check those out and learn more about this so that we can make the right choices when it comes to picking our foods. Now I'd like to talk about multi-cancer early detection. Up until like 3 years ago, the only tests we had for detecting cancer early were mammogram, PSA, which is the prostate antibody for prostate cancer, colonoscopy for colon cancer. We have a CAT scan to help us detect cancer in past smokers, and we have the cervical cancer test, the pap smear. So the company Gallery, actually the company is called Grail, and the test called the Gallery can now test from 2 tubes of blood. They can test for 50 different types of cancer. So I'm just talking to you right here about the 5 different types of cancer that we could test for before, and now there are 50 types of cancer that never had a test before, and now they can test for them using just blood. And from that blood, they've learned that cancer cells are different than normal cells. They have a problem with their DNA called methylation. Well, the changes in those DNA molecules can now be detected. And not only does it tell us that, oh, this methylated cell is a cancer cell, but it also tells us where that cancer cell came from. Did it come from a colon cancer? Did it come from a head and neck cancer? Did it come from a bile duct cancer? So it helps us target any workup that would be required if the test came back positive. So the test, we want it to come back saying no cancer signal detected. But if it comes back saying that there's a cancer signal, it will tell us where to go look. And then we will follow a national protocol for how to do the least number of tests to find the cancer or not, if it's a false positive, but this test does not have very many high false positives, and so it is a valuable test to get. The insurance companies do not give us a problem for getting a positive test and doing the testing that we need. They want us to detect cancer early. The only problem with this test right now is that it is not covered by insurance. The cost of the test is $750 for members of MDVIP. The regular retail price of the test is $950. So it is new technology that gives us unprecedented insight into the possibility of early detection. And it can identify cancer only in the blood many 12 months before it can be identified on a scan. So it can really give us stage 1 or stage 2, as well as 3 and 4 cancer awareness. So we can catch it early and get a cure. This company has been on national news every year, a couple times a year since it came out 3 years ago, because they caught a stage 1 pancreatic cancer, or they caught a lymphoma before it started to make somebody very sick, or it caught a head and neck cancer before it was large. So by being able to identify the cancer early, we can get in and treat it and have completely different outcomes. So be aware of that. All we do here at the office is draw the blood and send it to California. The company will contact you for payment, and when we get the results back, we'll call you with the results. This page here gives us a list of the cancers that this test can identify and the sensitivity of its ability to identify those cancers. So take a look at that. It's really amazing to think that liver and bile duct cancer can be identified with a 93% sensitivity, head and neck at 85%. These are very high rates of sensitivity, and being able to catch those cancers early can really be life-saving. Recently, MDVIP also went into an agreement with a company called Prenuvo. Prenuvo is a company that does whole body MRI. So MRI from our head to our knees, looking for solid tumors and other masses or aneurysms. The test is very elaborate. The retail price is $2,500 and the member price is $1,950. So a significant amount of savings for people who feel that getting a scan to look for solid tumors or other abnormalities may be beneficial. It is another way of screening that before a whole body MRI was a very, very expensive test, and this is coming into a range of affordability for some of us. For the next section, we're going to talk about a focus on fitness for spring. And during this section, what I'd like to do is make sure that people have the right supplies that they need to incorporate everyday exercise. It's not a lot of equipment. Some hand weights or bands. We need a chair or a counter, and maybe a countdown timer. This way we can know how long we're going to do an exercise, because sometimes we need to push ourselves, and having that timer gets us to the next couple seconds for increased strengthening. So I'm going to be backing up here and doing some exercises on a chair so that I'm doing something that we can all use. So if I'm going too fast, then don't do it as fast as me. Slow it down. I want you to work at your pace. But I'm going to give you some tools and some regular exercises that we should try to do every day to help with our flexibility, our strength, and our endurance. So those are the three components of true fitness, and we need all of them in order to operate properly. So this 3-step daily routine, which ended up being a 4-step routine, if you count the core exercises, which I'm going to add at the end. And the core exercises can be done every day. But remember that when we're doing the other 3, the flexibility, the strength, and the endurance, that there is core involved in those. But then I wanted to add some core exercises that we could just focus on the strength of our abdominal muscles. So the first set of exercises are stretches. And so when we do our stretching exercises, what we want to start out with is, and you could do this first part seated, but I'm going to do it standing. And what we want to do is just turn our heads to one side as far as it'll go, relax our arms at our side, as far as it'll go comfortably. Hold it there for a breath. And then as we let the breath out, turn our heads to the middle, letting the breath out. Then turn to the other side for a nice breath, and then let it out. Then bring our head down, let our shoulders relax, and then our head up to look at the ceiling, as far as we can go comfortably. Then take a second to shrug the shoulders and repeat. 1, slowly, in, out, down, and up. Relax and shrug the shoulders, and we'll do it a third time. As far as it'll go, comfortably, then towards the center, then towards the other side. Breathe in, out, down, and up. Then some more shoulder shrugs, bringing them down forward, and then back, relaxing our neck and upper back. Then we're going to do a little bit of rotation of the torso. So we're going to go forward and around 3 times, just whatever's comfortable. But any little bit of this movement is better than none. Okay. Now the other way. Good. 2, 3. Good. That's the least amount of flexibility strength, training that we should do for our upper body every morning, every evening. We could even do that twice. So that gave us our neck and upper back. And now I'd like to do another flexibility training using a chair where we bend our upper body forward, trying to touch our toes. Don't go too far. If you need to hold on, you can hold on. And just feel the stretch back here in the hamstrings. And then come up. And then we need to stretch our quadriceps muscles. The quads are stretched when we take our back leg, grab the ankle, and our foot should be able to touch our butt. Now, many people cannot get that to happen. But if you use a strap, you could work with yourself to put a strap down here, then pull it up as high as you can. It doesn't have to come up to your butt in the beginning, but if you work on this a little bit every day, you will get increased flexibility in the quadriceps muscles. So we need the flexibility in our hamstrings, and we need the flexibility in our quads. So we would hold this stretch for a minute, not a minute, a couple breaths. Now, not everybody can hold it here, just standing on one leg, and that's why you hold the chair or you hold your countertop. But the stretch is really important. And I'm not a flexible person. My hamstrings are very tight. My quads are a little more flexible. Everybody has their own thing. So I'd also like to include some rotation of the shoulders as an exercise, like that, to open up the chest. Open up the chest like that. This helps reverse the thoracic curve, very important. So that, one more stretch for our ankles. I'm going to come back here and have people sit, cross your leg Get that foot up onto your ankle up onto your knee, and you can open up the hip by stretching this way, pushing down, and then rotate the ankle. We need flexibility in our ankles as well. Wiggle your toes while you're doing this, and then switch, do the other side. Get that leg up there on the knee, and open up the hip a little bit, and rotate the ankle. And you can go the other way as well. And now we've gotten a fairly good amount of flexibility training. And next we would go to strengthening. So with strengthening, I would like people to just focus on the biceps, the triceps, and the chest. When we're doing exercises for that, when we do exercise for the chest, we also get the back. So here's how I'd like you to do the exercises. Hand weights or bands. So I'm going to show you with both. We're going to do biceps curls. This is an 8-pound weight. That might be enough for a lot of people. At home, I'm using more than that because of, my level of fitness right now. Okay, so we're going to do 10 reps. And since we're doing the same exercise both sides, you could do both at the same time. But if you don't feel like you can focus on both hands at the same time, you can just do one at a time. And I would recommend somewhere between 8 and 12 repetitions for one set, and then to do 3 sets. Now, if you're going from 0 to 30, that's too many. So start with 5 in the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After we work out, we want our muscles to be sore, but you don't have to pay for a workout for 3 days. So just do what you can do. Start low and go slow. So that's biceps curls. Now for triceps, we want to back up a little bit. So we want to take those weights and bring them back up and over. If you have really bad shoulders, then you might just want to go this way, where we focus on the triceps. You actually would go back this way for the triceps. And if you have bad shoulders and this hurts to do this, then don't use the weights. Just stretch backwards, and even by just using your arms, you can get some strengthening of your triceps muscles. So it's whatever you can do. It's very similar when we use bands. So if we use a band for doing biceps and triceps, we step on the band, and then this is biceps. Triceps would be like this. And chest would be simply to use our chest muscles to open up. Stretch that band across like that. Press your chest out. Squeeze your shoulder blades together so you're getting your chest and your back at the same time. Now, if I was doing that with weights, I would lean into my chair. I have a bench at home, but the exercise I would do here would be to open up the chest and do that. Just open up, and we would do 3 sets of 10. Endurance is being able to do the same activity over and over again, like running, elliptical, cycling, swimming. Those are all endurance activities. And for the endurance activities, we need to do those every day as well. So if it means going for a walk or going for a run, using your stationary bike, using your bike outside, these are all essential and need to be done every day. So building endurance in your house when it's raining is simply the act of jogging in place. and setting a timer. So I have a timer on my phone that counts down from 3 minutes. So 3 minutes of this. By the end of 3 minutes, I'm a little winded, and then I would take a break. Then I might change exercises. So the jog in place, I might go side to side, and I might even do it only for a minute. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Do that for a minute. You're working. The next one would be high knees. So we'll just do this from the side a little bit. Do that for a minute, holding your stomach in nice and tight as a core exercise. And then you could go faster. Have your countertop right here. So you can see how you could be out of breath doing that in just a couple minutes. And then the final exercise that I have on there is called mummy kicks. With mummy kicks, I'm going to back up a little bit. You just have your arms out in front of you for balance, and you're just putting your foot out in front of you like that. And you can do it slowly, switching. You can hold on to the counter. So mummy kicks will get you out of breath as well. So we're trying to build endurance, so the amount of time that you can take to do that activity shows your level of endurance. So finally, I'm just going to go over some core exercises. So everyone knows how to do a sit-up, but not everybody at every age can do a sit-up and get on and off the floor. So I'm going to show you exercises that you can do for your core while you're in a chair. So first one is a seated twist. So with the seated twist, you hold onto your chair. So you have a high back chair, and you bring your legs up to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, while you're doing this, you're keeping your stomach muscles nice and tight. You remember to breathe. And if you want to do one leg at a time, that's fine too. So you hold on, tighten your stomach muscles, and then bring one leg up. 2, 3. And you can slouch down. 4. As a matter of fact, when you slouch down a little bit, you actually engage your stomach muscles a little more. And you can have your legs straighter and just do a straight leg raise. That's all for your core. And then you could do both legs up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of these exercises are not complicated. They can be done seated, and they're all necessary to optimizing our health. It's good for our heart health. It's good for our lungs. It's good for our arthritis. It decreases inflammation in our bodies. It increases our strength, which we all need more of. It gives us more energy because it releases endorphins in our brain. It increases our circulation, so we have better brain function. The number one thing we can do to help our brain function is exercise. So figuring out how you're going to add flexibility, strength, and endurance training to everyday life using these simple hacks can really be beneficial. And then if you want to take it to the next level, next thing you know, you're training for a marathon. You're going on a long bike ride. You're getting together with some friends to play pickleball. These activities are crucial, and they really make a difference in our satisfaction in our lives and decrease the amount of time we will spend ill. The final section of today's presentation is on health and healing. Healing is a continuous, largely unconscious process. We face challenges every day, whether they're emotional or molecular. And health is just successful coping. And that coping could be on the cellular level or could be coping with each other on this planet. So the complex organism that is the human body, that contains our consciousness, like I said, is in many ways self-healing. However, we experience things like a state of disease, a state of illness, and that disease is going to be primarily physical or primarily psychological, but it's always both. So because healing requires some level of psychological compensation, it may be useful to have some tools for coping in this realm. Now, over the last several months, I've been reading on the topic of internal family systems. My daughter is involved in getting her master's degree in social work. And one of the many techniques that social workers learn how to use is internal family systems, if you want to be a counselor. So the work of Richard Schwartz came to my attention, and the ideas of his work were very intriguing to me. And there are two books that are very helpful. You Are the One, and There Are No Bad Parts. No Bad Parts is the book I read first. Very interesting. So Dr. Schwartz's work started back in the 80s when he was working with people who had undergone severe traumatic experiences. And in helping these people cope with severe experiences, he learned a lot that he saw come to fruition in many people in a very similar way. And that was that the more work they did, they had better access to the true self. And the true self is our innate sense. And a trained therapist in IFS will help us access our true self by learning that we're made up of many parts. And the parts that make us up are characters like our managers, our exiles, and our firefighters. So he distilled it down to these concepts, that managers help us cope through proactive resistance, control, and judgment with behaviors such as people-pleasing, perfectionism, self-sabotage, anxiety, procrastination, overachieving, caretaking. We can recognize these things within us because we have managers within us who are helping us cope by putting on these behaviors. Exiles hide the rejected, wounded, and traumatized parts of us by using self-talk that says, I'm not good enough, I'm too much, or I'm bad, and then behaving with abandonment or dependency or shame. So exiles are part of us that help us cope, but maybe not in an ideal way. And the same goes for firefighters. Firefighters are our automatic reactions, like attacking or reacting with anger, creating distractions. If I need to get a project done, all of a sudden I have a creative need to fly a drone or play a guitar or watch a movie. And for some people, these distractions that our firefighters put in front of us can be detrimental, like severe anger, overspending, overeating, addictions of any kind, obsessions, TV gaming, watching TV, another binge instead of doing what I need to do, because it's protecting me from the stress that I'm feeling. So social media binges are another way the firefighter gets me distracted from the mission at hand to protect me from my stress. So when we engage in internal family systems therapy, we are learning how to access the true self. So let me just show you what are the characteristics of the true self. The true self is calm. It has clarity because of that calm. It feels confidence that is part of our nature. Because of that confidence, it can display courage. And what is courage other than doing the right thing even when it's hard? Then, when we have calm, clarity, confidence, and courage, we can also feel more connection. Connection to others, connection to the planet. The connection to others leads to a curiosity. The curiosity about people, curiosity about the earth, curiosity about our true nature. And then because we are more curious, we also have more compassion. And compassion for ourselves, compassion for others is not something we need to learn. It's something we need to access because it's already within us. Learning how to access it is the trick. And then finally, when we are calm and have clarity and we feel confident and have courage, we are connected and curious and compassionate, it leads us to be creative. So there are periods in human history where people were in, like for instance, in the 1960s, there was a big movement against let's make it four. It was a big movement for civil rights. We saw that people of color were being discriminated and that their civil rights were being denied. As a society, we fought to improve that. And then in the early 70s and the late 60s, we saw a blooming of creativity into the 80s and 90s. So as a human species, we even access increased creativity when we act with courage and confidence. We feel connected. So think about each of the 8 C's as a way to access our true self. I've memorized them now. You can put them in any order, memorize it in any way that makes sense to you. And then the way I'm using it now is to say, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling distracted, then I'm going to say just the 8 words. I'm thinking about what it means to me to be calm, to take a deep breath, perhaps to do one of the breathing exercises I talked about before, and see if that doesn't bring you some clarity. And then when I'm calm and clear, I have more confidence to act properly. Perhaps I can even act with courage and do the right thing even when it's difficult. Then I will feel more connected to myself and to others. That connection will lead me to more curiosity, more compassion, and more creativity. So I just needed to share that with you guys. It's a couple books that I think are really worth reading. And if you need a connection to people who actually do the work of internal family systems, you just give me a call, and I've already looked up some people who are local who do practice internal family systems therapy. So once again, I'd like to thank you for attending this webinar, taking your time. I hope that some of this information was valuable to you, and just know that if you have any other questions, you can contact me either by my email or calling the office or calling my phone. And I'd be glad to, or texting me with some questions, and I'll get back to you on them. So until next time, I wish you all the best in optimal health and an enjoyable spring. Thanks for attending.